fans of ROCKIN. Well, the questions keep rolling in, so let's get to them.
Your questions answered.
Bernui says, if you were to urban camp in a city in the U.S., not in the Pacific Northwest. By the way, a lot of you think I'm in the Pacific Northwest. This is the Pacific Southwest. Remember, you're in a different country if you think it's Northwest would be U.S., but this is Southern Canada. So we're right at the bottom. Here's a little map for you, because I know in U.S. schools, apparently they teach you that Canada is a little strip on top of the continent. All right. First of all, America is a continent, not a country. There are 35 countries that make up America. The U.S. is the United States of America. It is not America. Okay, that's number one. Number two, here I am in Vancouver, over on the bottom left of the Canadian Maple Leaf here. You see the bottom left there. So I'm like more than halfway down the continent. So it's not exactly north to us. Just so you understand our perspective of it. Okay. But if I were to cross the border and go down further south to the U.S., what would I choose? Honolulu has mountains, oceans, and islands, but it's very isolated. Yeah, definitely. I could see you in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, or Miami. Yeah, you see, I'm a bit of a city guy. I like cities. That's why I like Vancouver. It's an awesome, big neon lit, skyscraper filled city, surrounded by beaches and mountains and ocean. I mean, I've got the best of both worlds, of all worlds, right here. So that's why I love it so much. I don't have to travel. If I want to go skiing after work in the winter, on years we have snow, up on the mountains anyways. We didn't get any snow down here or the mountains really. So, but years when there is snow, I get off work and I drive up to the ski hill. 15 minutes from work, I clock out, I'm sitting on a chairlift. Like, where else in the world can you really do that? And then 15 minutes from the mountain, you could be in a club. In a nightclub all night, you know, getting drunk, and there's no snow anywhere. So Parrot Sailor says, in reference to my last video where somebody asked me about a goldfish bowl in here, he says, instead of goldfish, you can do hamsters, and the hamster wheels could help charge your batteries. Bam! I think you're onto something, buddy. I like that. Rich Bolton says, have you ever been on Pender Island? I've been trying to find out how much the ferry costs to take a Class B across and back. I'm from the States, have looked all over the sites and can't find a price. Bam, bam, bam. Somebody else found you the links for that. Pender is right next to Galliano Island. There's Pender Island, which I'm going to Galliano Island this summer. I've been going to Galliano since I was a little kid. And I just put that on my Facebook page yesterday, so it's funny that you just mentioned that yesterday too. Maybe you're on my Facebook and you saw that, but I love all the Gulf Islands. Galliano, Maine, Pender, Salt Spring Island, you name it. And then of course Vancouver Island, where Victoria is. But I like the smaller islands. They're always a beautiful little mini vacation right outside the city. And the ferries are kind of pricey, so I try to go for at least a few days to make it worthwhile. It costs a little bit longer. If you're over height, of course, you get a charge over height charge for that. And then if you're over 20 feet, they charge you per foot extra. Most of the time I get away with that. They don't notice that I'm over 20 feet. I can tell you this much, it's worth it. They're not cheap like Washington State ferries. BC Ferries is a much bigger, much more modernized, and I mean, it's like the biggest or second biggest ferry fleet in the world. But the ships are very luxurious, and a lot of people would argue too luxurious. They're more like mini cruise ships than they are ferries, and some of them are as big as cruise ships. So, but just make sure you go for a few days when you go to the island. And I never really think of the cost. Once I'm over there, I'm just so happy to be there. I don't care what it costs. I would rather spend a few $100s on a round trip to one of the islands outside of Vancouver than to spend a few $100s getting on a plane and flying to Calgary, which is what it costs. It's ridiculous. So it's worth it. I'd rather do that. Yes, I've been there. Yes, it's beautiful. And yes, I'll be heading to the Gulf Islands this summer. And I'll be bringing all of you along with me. So stay tuned for that. Kevin Shea says, Justin, when boondocking, how do you deal with being interrupted unexpectedly when or if someone knocks on your door, especially late at night? Well, unless I got my music cranked, nobody knows I'm in here. Why the hell would I answer my door? Rule number one, ignore. I don't care if it's you or one of my neighbors or the frickin' police. You don't answer the door unless they know you're inside because you have music pounding or your lights are on or something like that, okay? In which case you're not sleeping soundly. obviously. So you don't have to worry about it, right? If it's other than that, I mean, how would I deal with it? What do you mean? I would open the door and say hello. I don't understand what the premise of that question is. I mean, it's like when somebody knocks on your door when you're living in a house or an apartment, you would generally answer the door, right? Unless you don't want to be bothered. You don't answer the door. Dana Gordon says, I'm curious where you keep important paperwork, such as the title to your van and such. Do you have it tucked away in the van or at a friend's or safety deposit box? As far as paperwork for the van, who cares? You can go to any Autoplan agent and reprint your insurance papers. It wouldn't, you know, I never really thought of that, so I don't think I'd need to buy a safe for that sort of stuff. As far as my very important stuff, I'm certainly not going to go on the internet and tell you where I keep stuff. Just saying, but wow. Jose Pacheco says, hey Justin, if you were to go to Alaska, what modifications would you have to do to your RV if you were to do any, and how many horsepower does your Ram have? Nice channel, nice vids. Thanks, man. What do you mean by modifications? I'm assuming that you're assuming that it would be that much colder that I would have to do something. Well, first of all, I would go in the summer when I wouldn't have to worry about freezing temperatures. I would stay on the coast. I wouldn't be off the beaten trail that much, and so I don't think I'd have to do any modifications. Horsepower? It's 245. For the 5.9 liter V8 from this era. Oh man, Peter Aguirre says, hey, let's see that t-shirt. I love that slogan. Wish I could live up to it though. I've shown it in quite a few videos, man. I remember I put it up, that they're up for sale too. But since you really want to see it, I will show you again. One second. Okay, here it is. 99 problems, but a mortgage ain't one. That's one of many designs available on my store on Zazzle. And you can find that link in the description of every single video I upload.
Keep on rocking the free world. Freedom is sexy. JustIncredible.tv.
Stick up for freedom. Get your Keep on Rockin' in the Free World sticker now at justincredible.net.